And we're on. We're
we are
in front of a non-studio audience.
Sweet.
A digital audience. I'm sure there's AIs somewhere listening. Riverside AI.
I can only hope.
Somebody is hearing the message. I mowed the lawn.
What would I say to the AI if I knew they were listening?
And so my lungs are a little messed up because
Oh yeah.
Because I'm old and sick. So my lungs are a little messed up, and I'm just a wee bit high.
Oh, good.
So
should we talk about real quick about that very thing? Because I was just kind of flabbergasted to hear that after 50 years, Oregon is moving. I shouldn't say they're going to, because I think that's going to have to come down to a vote. State of Oregon is going to repeal, or attempting to. Some motivated person in Oregon is trying to get pot recriminalized, whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of funny. So Oregon started out on an experiment, the experiment of what would happen if we decriminalized pot. And as near as I can tell from the research, there was an enormous revenue from the $100 fines, which was just fine. But that meant somebody wasn't going to jail. They were just going to pay $100 and carry on with their day. And
unless you were black or
do you think,
minority,
you really think there was
someone that the police discriminates? You wouldn't even have to be racist. It could just be some cop's ex-girlfriend.
And then what? The cop's going to take him to jail anyway?
Oh, I smell marijuana. What are you going to do for me to not take you to jail? I mean, there's criminals. There are police that are criminals. Hello.
What I mean is it's already decriminalized.
Racists. There are.
Sure. If it's already decriminalized, how are they supposed to justify taking them to jail? The only thing they can do is levy the $100 fine.
They still are. They still are today. There are
in Oregon,
people going to jail. Yeah.
In Oregon, for pot.
Last I heard, now let me.
I thought this was decriminalized. So doesn't that mean that you don't go to jail?
Being arrested for pot in OREGU. Usually. But see, the bigger problem, Southern Oregon has overwhelmed Oregon marijuana arrests. Okay, there's a normal possession in 2022. There was only 698 possession arrests, so there was few of them. Sales arrests, yeah, they're still arresting. I don't know. Is it because I follow the news more?
I don't know. It could be because this news hit me straight out of left field. I was just trying to
Yeah, no. There's no state that it's legal in that arrests aren't still going on. That
so
police
there's
aren't
like an amount or something.
An excuse to invade your home. I'm not sure, but if there is amount, then the police can go. We got a tip, or if you're getting swatted, someone that doesn't like you can go. There's a house up the street that has 100 pounds of marijuana, and they're going to come and shoot you and arrest you. So yeah, it's still going. It's never ended. And they don't want people that have marijuana licenses to have a gun either. Cops don't like that even more.
Okay, so question then. Is some legalization better than no legalization? Is it, I mean, if it was just because I don't know exactly what the law is, but if it was like the amount that you were carrying on your person, if you exceed a certain amount, then you go to jail. Is some regulation better than total, we're going to just take you to jail if we even smell it kind of a thing?
Oh, no, there should be some there's lots of regulation.
What I mean is,
I think regulation is better for the population. I mean,
what I meant by regulation, of course, was that, yeah, regulation as opposed to just absolutely strict totalitarian. No, you're not carrying that drug. You're not doing that drug. You're not doing anything with that drug. If we
that's
catch
prohibition. That's not regulation.
That's what I meant by
prohibition.
Is regulation better than prohibition?
You mean prohibition?
Yes. Is regulation better than prohibition?
It seems to be.
Okay.
there's less. I mean, one of the issues is that it's making people crazy and it's bringing up crime. That people are overdosing or whatever. I'm not even sure what they're saying is bad about
on
marijuana.
pot.
Yeah, See, right there, you're going. Even you know that that's not going on. So the only basis then after that to make it illegal would be
overdosing.
I don't know.
Crunch, maybe.
Right. So it's. Whatever reason they're using or saying, and I haven't read the bill. I'm just assuming it.
I haven't read it either.
Some sort of. So we're talking shit. Oh, so just so that everybody knows, we're talking shit about right out of our asses.
Sure.
About a bill that you
may or may not pass. We don't. My curiosity is, who in Oregon is going? I'm done with this 50-year experiment. Let's recriminalize pot. It's been decriminalized. We don't like it. Now we want to make it a criminal offense again.
They've always wanted to do that. There's segments of the population that have never agreed that pot should be legal. There are still governors and presidents being elected. No, in the world.
Well, I know in the world, but I'm talking about Oregon.
And the people in Oregon aren't from Mars, believe it or not. A lot of them are from California.
Right. Oregon, and I don't want to trigger you here, but Oregon is a leftist mecca.
Right. No, yes, I understand that. That's why I loved it so much. No,
right.
I get that.
Sure.
But it's not.
Who in the Oregon is going, I'm going to swim upstream on this mother.
Yeah. Florida is a right-wing mecca. I could say that too, or we could say that too, right? Yoo-hoo! It doesn't mean that there aren't a huge population of people on the left here, and it doesn't mean that there's a huge population on the right up in Oregon, and a huge population of people on the right are the ones getting elected to the Republican Party. We have to have representation.
I guess
so. There's right-wing influence, and if it is one of the right-wingers or right-wing politicians that lean on the side of fear-mongering and police control, and thinks that video games are making kids do drugs and I don't whatever and play D&D and they're calling the demons, whatever that side of the right wing is up there, because it's not the left wing saying that stuff. The fearmongers trying to make marijuana illegal, that has to be their only angle.
All two of them.
It's spooky. Well, it's two of them apparently is enough to make a bill, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Is it? It's enough to make a bill. You can belittle it or pish posh it away all you like. It was enough to get a bill. And
I would just be curious to hear what their actual argument is, if it's
and I don't know
or
why.
If it's crap.
My experience with Oregon also, in case you're wondering, is not the super left wing field of I never had any real left wingers. My stepmom was left. Some of her kids were left wing, but almost everybody, including yourself, were conservative up in Oregon. I was in pickup trucks. I personally had a pickup truck and guns that I would take up to the woods and go shooting. There's no left-wing bastion in Oregon. I don't know why you think that. I know the media says that. The media says it, and they have some more social programs.
I'm saying it because
and they're dealing with some other stuff. But I didn't live that experience. Most of my lived experience was right-wingers, was Republican conservatives. Our old dungeon master, I don't want to say his name, but he was Rush Limbaugh daily listener. He was Mormon. And everyone I knew up there was either Mormon or Christian Science, which is, Christianity with some fuzzy weirdness. A lot of my family were Jehovah's Witnesses. So I don't know what left-wing universe you grew up in Oregon. I didn't see it. But I guess I hear both the right and other people. I hear other people saying that Oregon is some bastion of left-wing nuttiness, and I've never really experienced it.
Do you remember I used to wear tie-dye a lot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So because you weren't instantly murdered, you think it's left-wing for dressing up?
Oh, no. Where do you think I got the tie-dye from? I got the tie-dye from people that were, hanging really loose. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
The girl I lost my virginity to? God bless her. I won't say her name, obviously.
Yes.
But, yeah.
She was awesome. I liked her. I thought she had a good vibe.
She was and still is, to my knowledge, very, very left oriented.
Yeah, cool.
And her mom, too.
Yeah.
And her mom's boyfriend was he was a Jerry Garcia lookalike. And the guy that I bought the tie-dye from was all part of this whole social circle from this girl and her mom and everybody else. He was the swingingest gay black dude you ever saw. He was flaming as heck and just super laid back and awesome people. And, of course,
cool.
Enormously talented artist, tie-dyer. And then her sister was gay. So everybody in my orbit at those days was left-wing. Everybody.
Yeah, but you're saying gay like it means left.
Well, that was just part and parcel.
That's where I kind of differentiate, because there were a lot of
granted
right wingers up there, conservative people that I knew. I don't know if you remember. There's a lot of lesbians up in Oregon.
Oh, I know.
A lot of lesbians up in Oregon. Yes.
Wait a minute. Wait.
A lot of them.
I got to say this now. I've never met a lesbian. Right. I've only even my girlfriend's sister. I think she was probably just bi-curious.
Do you remember
seriously
the girl do you remember the girl we drove down to California with your brother and played?
Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah. She made leather flogs,
right,
as her business, and sold it to bondage stores. Yeah, not gay, not gay.
Oh no, I totally dig. She probably thought she was very gay.
Okay,
but the thing is if I had been like doing my enormous bass thing, right?
A chance.
And be like, hey, she would have like handed me that flog, and I would have flogged all the feminism right out of her.
No. I think what you're mistaking there is lesbian truism versus your ego, and your ego is always going to win.
It's actually all good fun.
Yeah.
Well
played,
feminists.
There's a lot of lesbians up there. Yeah, and I don't know if you notice belt wearing, and this is going to be a stereotype, the belt wearing, chain to the wallet, flannel lesbian type, the woodcutter lesbians. They're awesome. They are not lefties. They are not left wing. They are gay.
The hell you say?
They are conservative. Yes. So
well,
even most of the left,
where do they come off?
Is right wing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So no, I don't see Oregon as that, and Oregon would be the battleground to do that stuff like that in. I mean, and you're always going to have some elected official who will glean some votes, or someone running for election that'll glean some votes or get some money from putting up a bill. Someone's being made happy by running a bill like that. It sounds silly to me, and they could only be doing it. I don't even know. I can't I can't imagine it would pass. I'm having trouble believing it was even a thing. And we've probably talked enough about it that we could have just fucking read it and it might not say anything about any of this. And we had just a big discussion over a nothing burger, as the term
Wouldn't that be? It's a very fun mind experiment, though. Thought experiment. It's a very fun thought experiment.
I guess, although it's done over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, the whole thing, marijuana in particular, why it keeps getting attacked and demonized is, well, it's linked with hemp and it's linked with racism. So you link big business, hemp, and racism. You got a motivation that you don't have to orchestrate or organize an organization. If there's businesses out there that stand to profit from keeping pot illegal, or if there's an organization that seeks to keep power or gain more power by making it illegal, hemp was originally made illegal by the it wasn't rope, was it paper?
Yeah, the textile.
Yeah, the other textile industries. It's not because they got in a group and they didn't do a group hug and go, okay, we're all gonna hate hemp and we're gonna make it racist. That didn't happen. It's different people for different reasons going, oh, they're trying to make pot or hemp illegal? That will work for me, and it just collects. So it's capitalism, racism, fear-mongering, power. That's what I was saying in my text. It was like power, power, power. That's how it gets there.
I see. So we have these conversations. I say we have these conversations, and we have these hypothetical situations, and we contemplate, we philosophize, and we argue. And when I say we, I'm talking about everybody on the planet. But
sure.
Don't we do that to eventually come to a consensus, at least on something, even if it's only basic? Like, how did we decide in America to pass on the right?
Somebody was just anti-British, God damn it, and said, we're not going to do it like them. It could have been simple as that. We're hairless monkeys that carry grudges. And
how did the British decide to pass on the left?
I bet you anything it had something to do with horse and buggies and businesses downtown, or whatever the construction was, or however horses shit, or something like that. I'm sure it was something like that.
But how
or somebody lost a bet in a bar.
Why did they come out different than us? That's a question. We came to a different consensus, but the main thing, the super important thing is that what we're talking about here is how everybody came to an agreement, and it's an agreement that's so fundamental that if we had not come to this agreement, you would not get in your car and drive today, would you? I know I would.
We're in Florida, man. We're taking our life into our hands every time.
Sure,
Florida,
but could you imagine how bad it would be if there was no consensus about which side of the road you're going to drive on? That would be crazy.
Isn't India like that? Isn't that like India? Or
honestly,
do they have a?
I don't know, and it would not surprise me to learn of some, wackadoodle third world country, and it might be India or some parts of India, where they don't have any consensus on that.
Chaos ensues.
That would be a pretty interesting.
Of course, they're also not going. Yeah. They're not going 80 miles an hour on a highway.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
I'm guessing they're on like the motorcycles with carrying the inner city kind of vehicles.
But still, anyway, we came to a consensus. I would imagine that coming to that consensus was the result of people talking, hashing out their arguments, raising hypotheticals, raising lifeboat scenario questions, trolley problem questions, and other deep philosophical crap, and then finally,
and some people doing it for nefariously.
Yeah, and finally exiting Plato's cave with a consensus. We're all going to pass on the right. That's all we're doing.
Could have been wrong. We might have been wrong.
All of these other
that's
discussions.
That's not all we're doing with drugs.
No. That's not what we're doing. I'm not saying.
No, it's not what we're doing with other.
What we're doing is we're having conversations.
Break it down to a consensus. Sure. Yes. Yes, we're having conversations. We as a group, you're right, have agreed to a type of consensus.
And we have not come to a consensus on drugs completely, or we haven't come to a consensus on hemp. We haven't come to a consensus on abortion, capital punishment, borders,
right, because it's not
anything you want.
The answer isn't even either left or right.
It's right. It's way more complicated than just what side we're going to pass on.
Right. And if each person, take drugs for instance, each person has a different reaction to every drug. And some people have addiction issues with drugs. But so far, it's always turned out, particularly with drugs, that the prohibition is far more damaging to society than it is an effective way to police the people's behavior. It's always turned out, if it was different, I would side differently. But it's always turned out with drugs that making them available safely and regulated, like alcohol, is less damaging and leads to less bad things.
And it needs to be up to the individual, right? The individual should just make their choice.
Yes, but with regulations, with like alcohol, 21, education, things like that. Yes, but you should be able to make the choice. Generally. And every time they take away someone's ability to choose, seems like a bad idea. But there's always going to be exceptions because it's the universe. And there's shit that monkeys clearly shouldn't play with. I don't want people carrying hand grenades to the mall, generally, unless they're going there to use them and it's wartime. Stuff like that. Regulation, legalized. Do you have an opinion on it, or do you just want mine?
In terms of drugs?
Yeah.
I tend to be pretty hard libertarian on drugs. I would say legalize it all and let the chips fall where they may. And that's not easy to say because we know that there's been a bit of opium epidemic and all this crap and ODs and there's a lot of people out there who, probably do make bad choices with regards to drugs. That has not been me.
Right.
But
now, I think it's something like 90% of OD deaths are because of unregulated drugs. Because they're cut wrong, they don't have the wrong amounts of the drug, or it's usually way too strong or cut with something stronger, and say they take the same dose that they did last time, and this was different, they took too much, and then they died. So a lot of overdoses or the negative side effects, you can see where having the prohibition makes it more dangerous. Just like a prohibition of abortion. I mean, if we're going drugs, might as well go abortion. The prohibition of abortion makes it more dangerous for the woman because they are still going to get them, and then they're riskier and they risk death. And that's not better. Prohibition on abortion has never stopped abortion. Prohibition on drugs has never stopped.
Again, I'm very libertarian on abortion. I personally I still think it's murder, but I am not going to be the one to say to a girl, you got to kill that baby, or you can't kill that baby. Sorry, you can't kill that baby. And now, just to keep in mind, I do the same thing on capital punishment. If I'm a advocate for capital punishment, but it's only because if there was somebody who had killed somebody in my family, and we just really felt like we had all the evidence and proof that we needed to absolutely know for sure that we weren't making a mistake, I would pull the switch. Yeah, I would pull the switch on that guy myself.
But that's where you don't have that information. You don't
right,
always have
and obviously, if I didn't feel like I was really confident that I had the right person, I probably wouldn't pull the switch. Now, keep in mind as well,
then it becomes down to your feels.
Yeah, if I pull the switch on somebody, I have to also take full responsibility that I just killed that person. And again, the chips are going to have to fall where they may. If I killed an innocent man, I'll burn in hell. or or whatever.
See, that's why I'm not
Or
that
not.
libertarian. I think I think I'll go Christianity on that one and go an eye for an eye makes everyone blind. Is that Christian? Is that or is that a different one?
The capital punishment issue is just a matter of timing for me. If I walk up to somebody or if I walk up on the guy who's about to kill my mother and I can prevent him from killing her, and the only way that I can prevent him from killing her is to kill him, by all means, I'm going to do it. Now, if I'm late...
self-defense.
Yep, I'm late, and he kills her, but...
That's retribution. It's
just me being late. I just wasn't there in time.
You
in fact,
are retaliating.
If I was there in time to kill him, to see him kill my mother, but I was too late to save her by killing him, I would still kill him.
Right.
It's not a retribution or a retaliation. It's just a question
Timing
of...
is important. Timing is important.
Well, I think in this one I have to give timing a pass, mostly because here's the main reason why, and this is the same thing that goes for people convicted of rape as well. We just can't let them have a pass because there is too much of a possibility that they're going to go do it again. Now, I'm not an advocate for thought crime. Obviously, we can think about killing all you want. Think about it all you want. Think about rape all you want, if that's your thing. The second you do it, that's when we have to intervene, hopefully in time to stop it. If not in time to stop it, definitely we're going to intervene after the fact and prevent you from taking that thought to an action ever again. That's just my humble opinion.
Exactly. Right. I totally agree with all of that. It's just the act of having the state or renegade people that feel that they have the right guy from murdering people. I would rather, because people make mistakes. The state makes mistakes when it goes to court, and they put innocent people in jail all the time.
I get you.
If the goal is to make sure that person never does that to somebody else again, it doesn't have to be murder them. You can sequester them. You can make sure that they never do that again. But that doesn't feel satisfying, does it?
Well, there's another
not
problem
like murdering them back.
I get that. There's a cost that comes to that. With that, the cost of housing them for the rest of their natural life.
But
and
at the moment,
I'm frankly not inclined to pay for that, or to even impose on anyone else in America to have to pay for that as well. Or I should say society.
For a lot of trials, it's actually cheaper just to house them than go through the trials and the legal system to get a death penalty notice. So it's actually now cheaper to house them than murder them. So if that was also your goal, it's still better to just keep them in jail. If your goal is to make sure they never do it again, we should put the effort into making sure they never do it again, and we don't need to murder.
I would need to crunch the numbers on that.
I'm not comfortable with the state having the ability to murder me because somebody feels like I may have done a crime. People are wrong. I look like about 1 billion other men out there. I'm a bald, middle-aged white guy. Man, I couldn't tell me from off of a line which one would be me. So people can be wrong. People can, I know this is going to be crazy, especially in 2024 with the election stuff. People fucking lie. Women, I know believe all women is the left's thing or the feminist thing. I do not.
You're arguing my point on my point on the Trump conviction and Christine Blasey Ford and all of that other stuff. And I only say that because I have been the victim of that.
Trump's been to court and has had 2 juries of his peers look at the evidence that we haven't seen. So a large group 2 separate times found him guilty, found the evidence to be compelling enough that he did it.
Yeah, I think he was just losing in the popularity contest. I don't know. I could be wrong.
separate juries in the legal system, in the Supreme, at the top, judging over the presidency. That's not something they're going to take lightly. That's not something that you can pretend is going to be only corrupt on the left, when every corrupt action that I've seen have almost exclusively come from the right. But suddenly, since it's Trump, it must be the left conspiring. It must be all the women lying. It must be all the jurors being paid off. It must be a whole litany of things, but it could never be that maybe just this once the woman was telling the truth and Trump is a fucking creep.
That woman is a creep.
That's your feelings.
Yeah,
that's your feelings.
I'm just watching some of her video stuffs and going, that's creepy.
If Biden had been in the same place and his aide that he was supposedly molested won her case, Tara Reid, if she had won her case, I would go, man, fuck that motherfucker. But for you, for some reason, case after case he loses about it, but you go, no, fuck her. And that's me. You're siding with the man who's been a creep for decades and decades and decades. Because sometimes women lie. No question. Sometimes women lie. But this is a woman that has been vetted and tried multiple times to make sure the facts were there. Now, if you can scrunch your nose at that, but what you're scrunching your nose at is the entire legal system and all the money and all the manipulation on both sides that had to have been going on at that point. All the propaganda. You're siding with the side that says, no, Trump is not a bad guy. Trump is the tried and true halo adjustment, upstanding American that the left just doesn't understand. So I'm just not siding with Trump on this.
I get you. Since we're talking about Trump, there is something that has kind of been running through my brain on this issue, and I'm not the first person to say this. I'm assuming you're not. I won't be the first person to have said this, and this won't be the first time you've heard it. But
sure.
Donald Trump was considered an eccentric billionaire for many years, and it was never really a thing. It wasn't what I mean. His first run for office was what? Was it 2000 or was it later than that? 2008.
I think he ran 3 times. I think he ran before that.
Ran before 2000?
Not ass. I mean ass, but all. I should not be typing. Ran for president.
And the first few times, or the first few or 2 or however many it would, he would have either been
2016, 2020. Yeah,
okay, Democrat or independent. Am I right? The first 2 runs.
Right. No. Reform. Donald Trump presented unsuccessful campaign for the Reform Party, so it was the Reform Party.
Reform. Okay, that's fine.
Not Democrat.
Might as well call that independent.
Or independent. Sure. Is that what you said? Independent? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm high. I'm
independent. It's all right.
Yeah. So Reform Party.
Okay. So sure, he's had this notion that he would, throw his hat in the ring, but nobody ever took it seriously. It was kind of a joke, and even right
it's
up
almost
to the
like
point,
he was doing it for the clicks, or
almost like he was doing it for the trolls, for the lol trolls.
Like he didn't really want to win.
Yeah,
because I don't believe for a second he actually really wanted him to win.
Now in 2016, he comes down the elevator. He announces he's Republican, and he's going to run as a Republican, and it's still a joke. It's still a joke until, what was it? It was I want to say it was Bill Maher talking to, what's her face, long blonde hair. My twin sister, only not.
Racist Barbie.
Yeah, I can't think of her name.
Megyn Kelly.
No, not Megyn Kelly. Not Megyn Kelly. The other chick that's really, really out there on a lot of her views.
Not
dang
Grace.
Nope.
Not McEnany. The one before McEnany.
Not McEnany, and not a press secretary. She was. Anyway, he said in 2015 he's saying to her, which of the Republican candidates do you think has got a chance? Blah blah blah, and she says, of the ones that are announced or running or what have you, she says Donald Trump, and everybody just goes, oh my God, that's a joke, because it was such a joke. But at some point, it flipped and it became serious, and then he,
I can tell you the point is,
some miracle, he got the nomination and then won the election as well. Now, since that day, he has had, he's just covered in laser dots. You know what I mean? Just covered in laser dots.
No, it's way before that. It was way before that.
When do you think he started getting covered in laser dots?
Shit stain long before he ran.
Oh, right. Yeah, no. I'm not saying he wasn't a shit stain. Sure, he could have been a shit stain. I'm saying that nobody was trying to take him out politically, legally, or otherwise. But since that time, he's been covered in laser dots, as in people. He's in the sights now, and people are like, "Oh, we got to take him out. We got to get rid of him. We got to do Russian dossier. We got to do whatever we got to do. Scandal.
No. There's no we got to do. That's where the evidence went. Those were the accusations, and they did investigations, as the investigation companies should do.
But before that, they didn't.
It wasn't.
I mean, why didn't this chick sue Donald Trump in 2014? He was richer back then than he is today. Why didn't she?
Right, because it's not about money. It wasn't about money.
For her, what was it about?
Money. And she didn't want to, and a law got changed that allowed her to, and her lawyer said, do it. So
who changed the law?
She wasn't able to because she had waited too long. Of New York, I think. It must have been New York law changed on the statutory limitation for rape. Do
For me, I don't want to get conspiratorial.
You think she was involved in that?
No.
Is she a lizard? Is she a shape-shifting lizard person that got into power so she could get in there and
that's not what I'm saying at all.
Get all this money when she was 70? Yeah.
Calm down, Gilbert.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I would just say, since we know that the idea for her to pursue this legal action was this lawyer guy, or this guy who set her up with the lawyer, maybe he had something to do with pursuing to get this law changed, so that he could, pursue this very thing. Of course, if that speculation would suggest that, at the very least, her allegations were out publicly known prior to all of this, prior to the law change, and in fact, they knew that they could get a guilty conviction, so they must have known that the evidence was compelling and provable. So that would mean he did it. But I'm just saying, he's covered in laser dots. It happened
you're saying you're not going to believe any of that.
No. All I'm saying
so it doesn't matter if he did it. He's still under threat, and just because somebody's pointing a gun at him means he should get away with it.
I'm just going, why do so many people want him taken out? Why? And
because he's
not for nothing.
He's a shit stain.
Okay, but I could say the same thing about Hillary Clinton and Bill, and they're two of the people that want him taken out.
Right.
When the people that want him taken out are people that I think are shit stains.
Okay.
Well, right now
he's going to in trial for the stuff that he's in trial for now, especially the New York cases, is that he stole from New York. Tax evasion. This thing they get a lot of criminals on, hiding his money so that the government doesn't know about it. That's the big thing in New York right now.
I thought it was the bank fraud, or not bank fraud, but
what do you think that is?
Info fraud, loan fraud.
Yes.
All that
yes,
was
he
was
lied on his
sure
taxes.
You could say he lied. Well,
because that happened too. There's not one crime. He didn't just do one sneaky shenanigans against the banks. It's the whole thing. And the reason so many people are after him is they followed the fucking trail to him. They followed the shit stain. And he was at one point president, so they didn't. He was at one point running, so that they did, so he didn't. But what the problem is, and you can see it after he won the presidency, and Melania, you could see it in her face when he won, they just sunk. Because becoming the president means all lasers are pointed at you, and all the shenanigans you've been doing all your life, there's going to be now millions of people that want to gleefully dig it up and get the scoop. That's what reporters are good at. That's why we like reporters getting the shit. They're supposed to, for their job, dig up the shit, expose the powerful, and then fuck them. That's the idea.
Not for nothing, but their first attempt at that was the Steele Dossier and the whole Russian collusion thing, and that was found to be completely made up and false.
Wrong. What you just repeated was Trump's propaganda. No, it wasn't found out to be false.
Tell me
the
truth,
fact,
then.
The lawyer, Longface, recommended that he be impeached for it.
Impeached.
So he saw the information.
Exactly.
Now, was all the information correct? I don't remember, man. I'm high, and you wanting specifics on why Trump was first impeached?
Never mind. Don't worry about that.
I don't know all that.
We won't go there. So about the let's
right. So
the bank
not all the
fraud
dossier was real. And it turns out that most. Oh, are you going to make me fact check this? Fuck. What has been proven in the Steele Dossier?
How do you even spell dossier?
I don't. That's where I failed. Dossier. French. Based on information, initially anonymous sources. Christopher Steele, Russia Desperation Intelligence, June 16th, history from Operation Republicans produce. I don't. This is a long thing. It's never going to just tell me what.
It's all right.
Steele. Part of it was, did the Russians interfere? That was true. The Russians did, but they did not find him specifically tied to that.
Right.
But they did. So there's parts of the Steele dossier that were true, and he was tied up in. I think also part of the Steele dossier was that Obama doing the listening in, something that turned out to be just ridiculous.
Don't know. I think that was found to be accurate. But for question one, when have the Russians ever not tried to meddle in our elections?
Right.
So that's just a thing that happens.
Right.
They vote
Trump
for their own
this.
candidate.
Trump knew that.
Yeah.
And then they sided with Trump.
For whatever reason, because they don't usually side with the Republican
whatever
Party.
reason, I just can't figure out why Russia.
But how are we supposed
before they invaded, wanted Trump to be in power?
I don't like to win illegitimately. You know me personally. I do not like to win that way.
Trump does not have that same compunction.
I wouldn't necessarily want to suggest that one way or the other for Trump. What I'm saying is in regards to the Russians, how do we Americans, and I could say not just Americans as the body politic, but also the federal United States as a government itself,
right.
How do we prevent the Russians from trying to swing their own influence in our voting machine? How do we prevent that? Do we just bomb the shit out of them? Do we go to war?
You first of all don't elect or allow anyone that has financial ties or historical ties or some sort of way that they would have leverage over you to be president of the United States.
But that's not Donald Trump.
Amendments. I think there's some constitutional amendments that approach that. And Donald Trump
Sure.
has towers in Russia. Donald Trump thanks Russia every chance he got. Putin and him got along beautifully. Everything. Trump is so pro-Russia. I don't understand how you don't see that. It's kind of like also saying Trump isn't pro North Korea. When he's like, I have beautiful love letters with Kim Jong-un. He's a great man. I wish I had the control he does over his people.
I don't think he ever said that. That is not something Trump said.
Donald. God damn it, Donald. Now, if you just have too much misinformation, I don't know. That's why I keep thinking you're just getting right-wing information. Trump.
No. I don't watch any right-wing. You got to believe me. I watch only left-wing stuff. It's not easy. It's difficult to listen to Kyle Kulinski and David Pakman, and Cenk Uygur. But I watch them, and not exclusively, obviously, but I do watch them. I have to hear them so that I can know what to debunk. In fact, while we're on the issue, just real quick, it's something I've been wanting to mention because you remember when you were first getting with your girlfriend of so long ago, she called me a sanctimonious ass. And the whole reason I was a sanctimonious ass was because of the tone that I would carry in my voice as I was opining. Obviously,
right. We both have the tendency to talk down.
It's something I've been trying to work on to a great deal, and I don't want to sound, when I'm opining, I don't want to sound like I'm just completely,
We're going to. It's it's part of the cringe I'm having to hug. If you're doing a video, you already think your voice is important, so you have to speak with what you think.
Sure, but what I'm really trying to avoid is to sound so smarmy about it, as if to be like saying, and if you don't agree with me, you're a fucking idiot. That kind of a thing. That, what I'd love to.
No, but we both change the word. That's like a Christian saying when they're mad at you, oh, I'll pray for you. You know they're saying fuck you, right?
Oh, no,
so
I don't think
say,
like that.
No, they do. I'll pray for you. Yeah, the fuck you will. What we say is, now, I could be wrong. And what people hear, I don't know, I don't mean it this way. I know you don't mean it this way, but boy, it sounds this way. It sounds like you're a fucking idiot because I think this is right. That's what it sounds like.
I really do want to work on that.
That's part of my, I hug the cringe. I do it too. I am a smarmy asshole. I do want to work on I feel guilt. Go ahead.
Maybe instead of saying, correct me if I'm wrong or something like that, or I could be wrong, maybe I should just say, change my mind.
There's no way. There's no way to say it that's not smarmy because we think we're right or we would think differently.
I really want somebody to tell me.
Right, we would change our mind.
I want somebody to be able to tell me I'm wrong.
But boy, they got to be able to fucking prove it, don't they?
They got to bring receipts.
Have some confidence.
They got to put it together.
Right, and that is clear with the both of us that you'd better know your shit at least as well as I do, or actually you need to know your shit better than I do because I have some facts and I have a buttload of feelings about them. So you have to know more than my feelings feel, and that's just for everyone. That's everyone. That's just you. That's me. That's the president. That's Trump. That's everyone.
Make me feel good, though, for a second. Just make me feel good and tell me that I don't sound as smarmy and sanctimonious as David Pakman or Kyle Kulinski, please.
No, you're... I feel cringe about how smarmy I sound. I am, when I look over these videos afterwards, I am just red-faced and sweating because I want to pause it and go, what I really meant here, and I didn't really mean it like this, and I was thinking about something else when I said this, and then we moved on, so I just sounded like a dick. And all that stuff goes over in my head as I'm rewatching and editing and having to put this shit together. And man, it makes me pop gummies like a motherfucker. So the cringe, the cringe is real. And there's
the cringe
no
is
way
real.
You sound less smart. You don't sound less smarmy than I do. And you probably say it differently. I say it differently when I'm addressing you. So I let my smarm out even more when it's with you, because of our history, I'm not accusing you of stuff. I'm accusing the idea or the argument you are either believing or putting forth, because you're contrary a lot just to be contrary, which is also irritating. But do I do that?
No, I don't know. Yeah. I like to ask questions. That's all. I'm just asking questions.
The smarm is not, you're not alone in having smarm. I don't know if you can fix it. I don't know what's to be fixed.
Just know that it's something that I want to correct.
Okay. I get it. I know.
I'm trying to approach this thing with all humility, truly.
And the other thing that I try to keep in mind, so that you know, is I could be wrong. I don't think that I am, though. The evidence and the experience that I've had have brought me to this point. So it's not like I just woke up and saw a news article and went, that's the thing.
I get it.
Decades of me, and I like to think, fairly consistent. I latched on to some smart people and read some really good informative books when I was younger that led me down the path of logic and reason. But still at the same time, I'm a human being, so maybe I was wrong. I even liked Alex Jones for a time just because he was
I remember those halcyon days.
Calling out the powerful. I used to be farther right wing. I used to be one of those mount machine guns on the Mexican border and just have a kill zone. I used to be one of those guys. I had a pickup truck and guns and went up to the woods and shot and fished. I was a redneck. Crazy. I know it's crazy. Yeah, I was. I kind of followed the path. I had to be drawn out of it. It was years that I had tarot cards, for Christ's sake. I mean, the cringe, I say it out loud and I can feel my ears turning red. I don't, the lessons I learned were painful and they continue to be so.
I'm right with you on that one. Lots of painful lessons that I, wrestle with daily.
You keep re-experiencing.
Sometimes.
At 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, those times,
nobody's
yes.
alive. Yeah, nobody's alive that remembers it, or if they are, they don't remember it, or don't even care. You're remembering your own cringe. It
still haunts you.
Yeah. So no, I get it. Sorry.
But the main thing that we can definitely drive home to anybody who might ever listen to this at all is for them both know.
So they both know. You're close.
For them to know that both of us have thought very long and very intensely about our beliefs and value systems, and where those beliefs and values might possibly clash in points. It's not a thing where we just kind of landed on it one day on a whim, but there they are, and we are having these discussions and we're hashing them out, and it's a beautiful thing.
And we're both fairly intelligent, and I think we both have sort of a grasp on what's going on. I don't see. It's also the days of AI. I see the social media changing. I see clearly AI generated images and memes, and I'm balls deep in social media. So there's not a moment that I don't think that I couldn't have been manipulated. But most of my opinions, most of my feelings about the path or what people are like, generally, like the whole Republican, Democrat, left, right, those were granularly gouged into my soul long before AI and social media.
Yeah. What's interesting about it is it's kind of like this. I see it. You'll recall that there was a time period in the world, sometime around the turn of the 19th century, where there would have been no real organized radio waves, and then we invented the transmitter, and suddenly there were transmissions carrying audio far distances, and the radio waves became progressively noisier. The world became progressively noisier. We've got a world now where there's some population centers where there's a lot of population density, and in those areas the world is very noisy. And now we've gone into this communication age where not just radio, obviously using the tech of radio, right, but
the interwebs.
You got the internet, where social media has become this enormous social square, marketplace of ideas, and it's very noisy. It's so noisy that there's just no way you'd be able to pick anything out if you weren't using an algorithm. The algorithm that is for you, and there's an algorithm for me, for all intents and purposes. It's the same algorithm, but it's the one that pays attention to what we pay attention to and says, okay, we're going to filter the rest of this crap out for you and just give you what we know is that you're going to pay attention to. That's what it is. Now, that's one of the reasons why I make a point to watch other content from the other side, because the algorithm, for all it knows, the algorithm as it were, for all it knows, I'm a left-wing person, and it feeds me left-wing stuff, and that's only for me so that I can go, I don't want to be having stuff filtered out from me. There is stuff I want to have filtered out, obviously. I want to have crackpot stuff filtered out. I want to have QAnon stuff filtered out. I want to have flat earth stuff filtered out. I want to have conspiracy theory stuff filtered out. I don't want that coming into me. That's not what I'm paying attention to. But
half the Republican Party just got filtered out.
I see the algorithms, I see social media and its tools as a way of tuning this very sophisticated radio, way more sophisticated than just the old Marconi set that we used to do on ham radio when we were kids. Right. But this social media thing that is without the filters, without the receiver there, would just be pouring data in faster than we could possibly ever decipher.
You don't even have distance as a filter anymore.
It would right, and there's no distance as an impediment. You've got it all coming at you, and if it was all coming at you at once, it would be totally indistinguishable from noise, and you would not pay attention to any of it. You'd filter the whole thing by yourself.
Right. Now, so, I did make a video about that with the middle of America not catching up to technology and social media on the ends, where we were more into it. We had more access to information than, say, a farmer in the Midwest on his tractor. But then we knew that cell phones were taking off like crazy, and it was just going to be a matter of time before people in the middle of America, the people that have been kind of cut off and are still back in time in a lot of ways, suddenly, by the time they get a cell phone, and
there would be mass adoption.
All it is noise. But what we received, what our experience was early YouTube, say as an example. You knew generally most of the people on YouTube at the beginning. There were groups, and you knew their group, and it was logical. It was small enough that we could wrap our heads around it. But by the time the farmer in middle America got the phone, it's now corporate run. It's the corporate run chaos and algorithms. They're just getting blasted in the face by social media shotguns. So they didn't ease into the waters like we have. They jumped right in, and they can't tell the difference between hot and cold. So that's, I think, one of the major issues that we're seeing.
There sure might have been some initial shock as, some of the things hit them, but eventually the algorithm's going to filter for them too. And it probably doesn't take that long.
Right.
The algorithm wants you to pay attention.
What they're filtering out is some crazy stuff. So if you're a farmer in middle America, and I'm making I don't want to be belittling, because not all farmers, some of them are using more state-of-the-art stuff than I've ever fucking seen in my life to farm. But it's the rural middle America housewife, maybe, someone that doesn't, but they get that, and just all the information comes at them at once, and they can't tell. They get it filtered out, what I was saying. They don't believe half the things that actually exist are even real. I still run into people and hear people talking about AI. They don't believe it's even real. It's just humans doing stuff. It's
okay.
AI is being adopted quicker than anything else. There's people still that don't believe the world is round. There's still people that haven't caught up to it, and they are getting their algorithms directed at them.
Sure, the algorithm is going to feed all sorts of flat Earth stuff for them. They're going to find their community and feel like they're just at home. Sure.
And it's making them farther and farther away from knowing what reality even is. And then you get the extremes, the QAnon type, the wearing every kind of American flag designed clothing you can find, and if it's in sequins, it's even better. The crazy trailer park of patriots, that kind of stereotype, they get farther and farther from reality because the algorithm is pushing them that way, and it makes me concerned by us. That's why I get upset or I sound angry or upset or incredulous that you haven't heard this, because it's upsetting to me that, am I hearing fake news? Am I being fooled by bullshit? Because I've tried most of my life, and doubly so, but I'm on chemo, I'm sick, I'm tired, I'm distracted, I've got, so I'm sure I've been fooled by some things, but I try and back it up. I try and look for other stuff and not just go, oh, that's what I guess if I'm a lefty, there's nobody in power on the left. Never mind. That's what somebody on the left says. So I just believe it. I don't have that.
So let me just run an idea by you real quick then. And it's mostly a question. So is your concern that for these people who have what you would perceive to be, what you would probably judge, rightly so, judge to be erroneous ideas or ideas based in mysticism or just even problematic ideas, is it the real problem? Sure. Is it the real problem that they have their own voice that is lent to the body politic, and how the results of public policy based on that lent voice? Is that what it really boils down to?
Am I worried that Crazy Town's running the ship?
Well,
yeah,
sure.
I'm worried that Crazy Town can get a hold of the captainship. I don't know if you noticed. They did. The king of Crazy Town won control of the ship.
Sure. So let's carry on with the questioning.
So they have influence. They have influence.
How did that public policy negatively impact you personally, or even just anybody in your family or you're close in your orbit? How did that public policy negatively impact?
Most of it's going to be squishy and not generally direct.
I could actually give you some really direct examples, but carry on.
Well, politicians and the way a lot of politicians politic is stochastic terrorism. So they pick out an enemy and then they say how bad that enemy is. And I guess that's not the stochastic. Trump did that a lot. It's like, it would be a shame if something were to happen to them. That kind of tone in a message. And then that had been previously, or that following what you had been saying about Mexicans or gays or Jews, relative to this with the hillbilly Nazis, the Jews. They're always after the Jews. I don't know. It still baffles me today how it keeps coming up. It's like, I don't personally give a fuck. I don't care. But they keep people that are racist, people that when someone in power talks shit, it inspires other people to be shitty. And Trump is a giant fucking mouth that is like the WWE ring announcer riling up the crowd. And this particular crowd thinks that elections aren't real and there's an invasion at the border. And most of them have AR-15s racked up behind them and do the tactical cosplay that they love so much. They're just itching for a reason. And so you get somebody that doesn't have the cringe against calling for violence, doesn't have the same decorum. I know it's just a veil of icing over a turd, but political decorum not to rile up violence from a violent, frightened group. And that's where I saw most of it. It took the population, it divided the population more.
When you say you saw, I'm assuming you're saying that you saw it on TV, on YouTube, on the news, on the whatever, but you didn't actually see anything yourself
personally. I saw Trump's words coming out of his mouth.
That, right. You saw that, and you might have seen some violence here and there, and there was clearly some things that occurred, and whether that was the result of Trump's stochasticness or somebody else's or whatever it might have been. Because clearly you got to know he's not the only one that has said some inflammatory things, and I would probably argue
No.
that others have said way more inflammatory.
You're right. He's not the only one.
But what I was really searching for was
the pus at the top of the pimple.
Let's go back to Ronald Reagan for a second.
What rose to the top?
Ronald Reagan. A lot of people thought he was a great president, but there was some people who thought he was the absolute worst because of his stance on public sector unions probably in general, and specifically the air traffic controller union debacle. That would be a situation where,
because that's what was going on at the time, right?
The body politic put into place public policy, in this case the policy of President Reagan, and President Reagan that says, now I'm president and we're going to do something with these public sector unions. We're going to do something that is going to hurt the unions, and in this case specifically, we're going to directly hurt the air traffic controller union. And there were people, not an enormous swath of people, but a good chunk of people who were directly affected in the negative because they lost their job by President Reagan. Now, again, there would be some people who would argue, yeah, maybe they should have lost their job because they were crappy at it. Or maybe they should have lost their job because the only reason they had their job in the first place was because there was a union protecting them, and they should, don't really deserve that job. Or maybe there would be somebody saying, yes, but now that the unions have lost their power and the price of labor has gone down a little bit, production costs for things like cars has gone down, and you can now buy a car for less money. Just saying. Or there might have been even somebody saying, oh, well, now that the price of labor's come down, we're actually getting some of these factory jobs that had been exported to other countries like China coming back to the United States, as a for instance. But there were some people who were directly affected, who were going out looking for work because of Ronald Reagan. That's the kind of direct effect that I'm wondering about of any public policy, whether it was the public policy of President Trump being elected, or the public policy of Ronald DeSantis becoming governor of Florida, or the public policy of medical marijuana in Florida, or the public policy of school choice, or the public policy of, whatever it might be, abortions. Anybody directly affected.
Rick Scott, by the way, I could go on and on about how fucking evil Rick Scott is and how he directly affected me.
I could go on and on about that too. We could have a dual bitch fest on Rick Scott. The guy's a giant douche.
Yeah. So, I say that because I'm in the medical field. I own a massage center, and he was a giant manipulator of Medicare and the insurance companies in Florida. And the reason that we can't take insurance as a massage center now is directly because of Rick Scott. Now, you asked about Trump. I'm not a coal miner. I'm not a steel worker. I'm not any of the people that Trump had a finger in directly. Was it the John Deere or something he promised, or I forget what company it was. He promised to stop anything moving to China, bring them to, and 6 months later they folded. Nobody says anything, and they're out on their ass. They closed. They lost their jobs because Trump lied to them, because he said he was going to do it and he didn't. So there's a lot of things that Trump did shitty directly to a lot of people because of the words that came out of his mouth and the things that he signed. It just didn't happen to me. I'm not. I could talk about Rick Scott. I could talk about DeSantis and things that they did that directly affected me. But Trump was dealing with overseas stuff, was dealing with stock stuff. Some of the stock stuff, when the stocks dropped, the whole pandemic thing, yeah, it affected my business. But what you're asking me, I don't have, just like the right wing or the how left wing Oregon is. I didn't experience that with Trump. I can't off the top of my head directly say he touched me there. I can't do that with Trump.
Well, see, this takes it down to the next extension of the question then. And that is, for all the people out there that we would perceive, that we would judge, rightly so, as being a little bit the flat earthers, QAnoners, even Christians, if you want, and definitely Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, JWs. You guys are nice. Don't wake me up on Saturday morning. Anyway,
crazy bunch of nutters.
Yeah, all the
crazy nutters.
They're going to have their own voice lent towards public policy, and the main thing we would want to track is, if we can, there's even a metric for it, is what effect their voice lent towards public policy, how it affected us, in the aggregate. Trump's only one example of that, and that's obviously not going to be the result of a lot of crazy people. That's going to be the result of some people that are not crazy. Maybe a lot of people.
One crazy person. One crazy person.
Maybe that. And there would be, plenty of people who would have been extremely scared. I don't want to be a fear monger here, because I hate it when they do that. I pick it up very quickly. I'm like, oh, okay, now wait a minute. Tell me something positive.
There is fear, but there's also fear mongering.
Yes. So I would have been one of those people, and I know I'm not alone. There would have been a lot of people who would have been extremely scared of a Hillary Clinton presidency, and it wasn't worth being able to put the badge of First Lady President, and finally we've got our First Lady President, to put that kind of a person in office. and we were willing to hold our nose and vote for anything else but a Hillary Clinton. I mean, we would have voted for that glass of water with a D on it that Nancy Pelosi was telling us about. That would have been preferable to Hillary Clinton. So
that would have been preferable to both of them. That was one of those elections where, I hate to tell you, one of them's going to win, and it's not good either way. So I was in there. Yeah, right. But it wasn't Trump because I already knew. I fucking already knew who Trump was. So it was before he was president. That's why I didn't and voted for Hillary, because I knew she was the same old disaster we were always going to have. Only veiled racism instead of blatant racism. That kind of thing. She was snobby, icing covered, pinkies up racist instead of. I mean, you're just using that as an example. Instead of Trump's WWE. There's good people on both sides, Nazis and lefties alike. It's like,
actually, I don't take into consideration racism as part of my decision in who I put in.
Yeah,
you think that's problematic, but I'm going like, I'm not worried about them putting into place racist policies. And for one thing, it's not going to be a situation. Well, first of all, I'm not worried about them putting in race policies, like I just said. But at the same time, what people say can so be easily construed as racism when it's something that's just innocent or not that bad. And I would say that on behalf of Hillary Clinton as well. So if for everything that Trump ever said racist, I could probably find at least one thing that Hillary said was racist. But at the same time, I'm just going like, neither of that matters to me. I'm not worried about either one of them going in and putting into place laws or whatever place, or even supporting laws, I should say supporting legislation, because that's all they can do as president, that are going to bring Jim Crow laws back or anything like that. I'm not worried about that. I don't think that would happen. And even if
you mean
it
like
did,
keeping marijuana illegal? You're not worried about that? Because they are doing that. They're doing it in ways that aren't. They're not going, we hate black people, so we're going to outlaw. They're not saying it like that. They're doing things like keeping marijuana illegal. They're doing it by not helping poor communities, or taking money that would go to normally poor communities and shifting it to rich white communities. They're doing it by policy in the police force. So racist laws are going on the books all the fucking time.
Federal laws can't really
racist doesn't mean they're not racist.
Yeah, federal laws can't really trickle down to the point of the frontliner law enforcement. They just don't. That's going to be local. That'll be local, and there's going to be areas. There's going to be areas of the country where
gun laws. How about gun laws?
Well, there's a Second Amendment, so if there's gun laws, that has to do.
Do those trickle down to police force?
Well, sure, but what I mean is
everything trickles down. It all
right.
trickles down.
So get rid of gun laws. I would if there was somebody running for president who was like saying I'm a Second Amendment absolutist, they more than likely have my vote, and not to be a single issue person, but that's going to be something that I should say. That's going to be something that's going to make me want to vote for them when they say I'm a Second Amendment absolutist. So, while I get the drug thing is huge, I do want to ask a question just real quick while we're back on that topic. How is criminalization of drugs or regulation of drugs or prohibition of drugs, how is that racist?
Are you just wanting me to ask the question, or are you just asking me the question because you want to hear what I have to say about it, or my opinion, or do you not understand? Do you understand how it's racist?
I think I understand. I could probably steel man the argument, but I can also destroy my steel man of that argument. So that's what that's
right.
worth.
So the argument is.
So what I'm really fishing for is anything that I don't already have. So go ahead.
The laws. Laws against drugs aren't necessarily racist. When the Chinese were over building the railroads and they had opium dens, they made opium illegal. Why would that be racist?
Okay, so
the Chinese
you're
had
suggesting
opium
that
dens. They were the only ones doing it at the time.
They would be the only ones really affected by it.
Is a direct attack against the Chinese.
Okay.
Because they were the ones doing it.
Okay.
The black community was using cannabis. But here's the kicker. Here's where making marijuana illegal is the kicker. White people are using cannabis too.
Right.
But if you have a white racist cop and he pulls over a preacher man's son, White McWhiterson, and he has some weed, he's going to go, well, son, you just put that out in your hand and I'm going to make you eat it. And then you run off home and I'm going to tell your papa. Or you have a car full of black men coming or going to wherever church or school or wherever a group full of black people go, and they have some marijuana on them. Well, suddenly you have a shootout. A bunch of black people tried to jump a cop, and he had to take action. So it's not the law itself. It's how racist people can use it against the people they're racist for. Now, it goes even further than that. You don't have to be racist. You can just be a bigot and want to take advantage of your power to be a dick. So it's not the laws, in this case, that says, cops hate black people, we're going to make it a law. It's not a law against black people. It's a law that they can misuse against one group and overlook it in the other.
Okay.
That's
so
the racism.
You're
and
talking
all you have
about
to do is look at the statistics. All you have to do is see that whites and blacks use cannabis at the same rate, but it's something like 80% higher blacks in prison for the same thing than whites in the prison for the same thing. It's not because one of them uses more. It's because one of them is prosecuted more. One of them is targeted more.
By the legal system.
The law. By whoever's arresting them initially. It starts at the bottom too. You can have laws put in place by a paper manufacturer or a steel manufacturer, because I think it was the steel manufacturers that was also in it making hemp illegal, because Ford started making his cars out of hemp, and the steel manufacturing didn't like it at all, so they joined into making hemp illegal. And one of the ways to make hemp illegal was because it's really related to marijuana, and you know black people, right? And so they twist it, they make it illegal. It serves a whole bunch of corporate shenanigans and racist shenanigans and power-hungry shenanigans and just bigotry in general. The law is a bad law. That kind of prohibition against that kind of substance is a bad idea. That's my opinion. It's going to go left and right. There's still people that think marijuana is the devil's lettuce. There's not much I can do about it, except blather on about my opinion.
Okay, so the racism that occurs happens at the frontliner level, which...
It happens at every level. We don't find ourselves at one level. We find ourselves as a community, as a species, at every level. And at every level, you're going to have people in power that are racist and bigoted.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be racism, and it doesn't have to be from the bottom.
What I'm saying is that any given cop who finds any given person with illegal substances can choose, as an individual, decide if they're going to be biased against that any given person based on the color of their skin, or if they're not going to be biased regardless of their color of their skin. And that is not something that a lawmaker, or in the case of the president, a law ratifier, is going to be able to take into consideration when they're passing it. Now, they can look at the statistics, and I'm sure they do.
They can't? They can't? Are you saying they're not smarter than we are?
No, I'm saying they can.
And we're not writing a bill. They can't.
What I'm saying, yes, they can look at the statistics.
But it's weird that they still decide not to listen. Every year when for the president issues a command every year for a review on marijuana legalization. It just happens.
On the federal level.
He gets the review on the federal level. Mm-hmm. He gets the review and goes, the corporations just paid me billions of dollars in campaign financing to make it illegal. I wonder if that's going to have influence on whether a bill is passed or whether or not I happen to care. Maybe it's racist, maybe it's not. Where's the money, buddy? So at the top, the bill, it all has bigotry in it for that kind of bill. That's just how it is. I don't know how to change it. I wish I did.
I wouldn't call that racist at that level. I would call that profit motive
bigotry
at
then.
That level. I don't even know if I would call it bigotry.
They think they can do it, and they're going to put somebody else in jail for doing it.
But you're right about that. Certainly at the federal level, it'll probably be a cold day in hell before legalization ever happens. That's why.
No, it'll happen. It'll happen.
When did you suppose it will be?
Because marijuana is making a lot of money now, and they become part of the corporate process. So it's not all clean. It's not all bought and paid for.
I get that.
There's still negotiations.
Well, that's why I was saying at the federal level, it probably wouldn't happen. But it's happening at the state level.
Right.
All the time. Another state goes legal. Another state goes legal. Another state goes legal. And so
right. And at some point, it will probably go federal.
And sure, at that point, it surely might, But by the time the federal adopts it at any point along the way of legalization, they'll have long passed the window for making any money on it. The states are the one that are cleaning up on it. Am I right?
But no, they're not. No.
Well,
the states are
then?
too. Both. Federal taxes.
You mean as
federal
far as
taxes?
Federal taxes on something illegal? I'm not following you.
Marijuana, yeah. They get the taxes on the money. They get the taxes on the revenue.
Okay.
Or else they would get shut down for tax evasion.
So that just means the federal is less incentivized to legalize. They're getting their cut of it, and they don't care then. But the states are, one by one, legalizing.
Right.
Unless you're Oregon. And they're just going backward.
Right.
Weird.
Right. Yeah, there's corruption and manipulation on all of it, and there's good people trying to fight it as well. So like I said, I don't know what to do about it.
But as far as a federal law goes,
having an opinion on marijuana legalization is not going to change it.
Yeah. As far as a federal law goes, I don't see where, at least on the drug issue, where racism is really coming into play. And so therefore, I would, whether a candidate appears racist or not.
You're choosing not to see it.
Maybe
you're choosing not to see it.
Got a good grasp of economics and statistics. It
and
still boils down to
racism is an economic boon and is measured by the market?
Not at all.
Like child rearing and taking care of your... Yeah, it's not affected in the market. It's not part of the market. In fact, racism at one point was the fucking market, but then, right?
It's just a trade-off.
And
by the market, you mean...
So they took it off the market.
The labor market.
Slavery. Slavery. They were products. It wasn't labor market. See, that's very Confederate of you.
No, it's just...
Slaves are not the labor market.
It's just a product.
Slaves are slaves.
It's a pragmatic economical thing. If you are going to engage in legalized slavery, then that drives the cost of labor down very close to zero.
And it influences the laws,
the labor market,
and the politicians.
Sure.
It influences racism. It builds racism into the laws, the corporate laws. There's there's lawyers that are bigoted and racist and corporate and don't care and are going to try their best to word it in as vague a way possible so they can enforce it one way and not enforce it in another. It's like a fucking religion with the drug laws and corporate versus racism, and it's all mixed in. I'm not saying there's an evil mustachioed villain one
Of
point.
course
I'm
not.
not saying at this point when Biden makes a law that he's racist. I've seen him write laws that were racist, financial laws that benefited wealthy, that punished African Americans. So I've seen a person, the president, write or sign a racist bill into action. So I'm not a fan of Biden either.
I would be curious to know what bill that was, what law that was passed.
It was a financial bill. Him and Hillary and a bunch of others were on it. It was way back in the way. It was also
so not as president.
No. As a senator. And part of the gun bill.
Right. He had that whole stop and frisk thing. He had,
right,
I remember that.
Right. See? And who do you think wanted the stop and frisk? Who do you think wanted that to be in power? Who do you think wanted that power to be able to use it as they saw fit to enforce whatever they saw fit? The police unions. So you don't have to be racist and in power. You can just be in power and be influenced by the money of people that have a racist agenda.
And you felt like Trump was
power.
You felt like Trump was more racist than Biden because
no,
of what he said?
I think Trump had a bigger fucking mouth. I think just like when I said Hillary was better only because she put icing on the turd, Trump was just the turd dyed fluorescent orange.
Trump
They're
never
still both turds.
Trump never signed any, legislation or I should say even signed on to any legislation that did that. While Hillary
did what? That sided with the police force?
No, that would have been stop and frisk oriented or anything like that. You're looking
for bills that say I am racist. You're looking for bills that say I am racist or I am a bigot or I am this. You're never going to see that in a presidency. You're going to see a union backing some kind of power that gives them power over the decision.
What I meant was, but at the point of 2016, Trump had only his words that would have ever betrayed him as racist, even if they did. But Hillary Clinton would have been signing on
black
to
families from his apartments.
Or that. Okay, that's a thing. Sure.
I mean, he has. There's a reason. Again,
were they paying the rent?
30 years of history why I hate Trump. More than 30 years of history is why I hate Trump. Not just because of his presidency. His presidency just panned out more information that I already had. But you don't have to have a racist in charge for racist bills to be signed. You can have just a corporate money-hungry shill that goes, this one paid the most, it's not blatantly racist, or this one pays the most, it's not blatantly in favor of Christianity. And so they sign these bills that are clearly in favor of those, depending on the enforcement. And then you get racist outcomes. 80% of population black when all races do crimes at a similar level. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. That's it. You don't. It's not as simple as he's a racist. He's going to sign racist bills. He could just be a corporate shill that wants money, and he is that. He is that too.
I don't know if I saw any evidence of that, but
businessman.
Yeah. Well, there is that. He is.
He makes his money off his name. Yeah, he gets paid for his name because he's a blowhard. Not because he's a good businessman. He made a casino go bankrupt. That's like making a whorehouse go bankrupt. It's a clear sign that you're a bad businessman, that you don't know what you're doing. And he's proven that he doesn't know what he's doing over and over and over again. He's lost his lawsuits over and over and over again. He is a certified legal loser repeatedly over and over and over. And people overlook that and go, well, he says what's on his mind. Motherfucker, I don't care what that criminal fucking bigot thinks. He can say what's on his mind, just like there's a lot of right-wingers that don't care what I think because they don't know who I am. I know I've seen evidence of what Trump has done and the lawsuits that he's lost. And I think that's bad. And I think that leads to racist laws, because someone that corrupt, someone that inept is going to meet one of his wealthy buddies and go, gosh, you know what you're doing. That's swell. Thank you for the money. Have a cabinet position. And it's not because they're good at their job, whether they are or not.
Does it lead to more deleterious laws than Joe Biden? Or does it lead to more deleterious laws than Hillary Clinton would have put into place? Would there have been a difference between the giant douche and the turd sandwich? Well, that's kind of why I'm asking it.
Yes, but you've already not accepted the answer I gave you because of the rhetoric and how the rhetoric is different. If you're going to have to eat a turd, do you want one with frosting on it or not?
Frosting, please.
I'll take the frosting. Yes, you take the fucking frosting. Trump has no frosting. Trump has additional anal glands squirted on the turd.
Squeeze cheese. He is
an out loud bigot asshole. Squeeze cheese on the turd. Yes. I don't think Hillary would have been, I think she would have been better in different ways and worse in different ways. But just like with Al Gore, there's going to be a difference. I didn't used to, and again, I was one of those guys that thought voting didn't matter because it's all a rigged system and the people in power are going to put the people in power and it won't make any difference. But when Al Gore gave up because he won that election in court, it was shown that he won, but then he decided to bail out and they went, well, no takes backsies. So he didn't get to be president. And then Bush was president, and then planes hit the Trade Center. And I don't think Al Gore would have made the same bad decisions that Bush did. So there's going to be a difference. Would I know what the differences are? Man, I don't know, but I'm quite sure Hillary would not have told the fucking Confederate Nazis to stand down and stand by because I might need you later, was the stochastic inference to his statement. That is a quote from Trump. Stand by and stand down because we need to do this the right way. Something like that. So Hillary would not have empowered people that consider themselves to be Nazis. Yes, they would not. She would not have empowered that kind of racism or that kind of bigotry. Would it have been worse or better? I think she was more of a war hawk. So it could have been worse in a lot of ways. But we'll never know because we got the orange turd instead of the frosting turd. Well, I think she would have been just another run-of-the-mill, pasty president that didn't do anything, like Obama. I think she would have been another Obama, but for women.
We know that elections have consequences, so I'm not going to be the type of person to say it doesn't matter who, how you vote or anything like that. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is that we put particular values on our candidates that are personally, frankly personal. So somebody might say, I'm absolutely not voting for a racist, and I believe Trump is a racist, so I'm absolutely not voting for Trump. Or somebody might even say, I absolutely don't believe women should be in politics, and Hillary Clinton is a woman, so I will not vote for Hillary Clinton. Whatever their value might be.
Fine.
Sure. And
awesomely awesome.
But that amalgamation is what is the result of, or I should say, is what comes out of all of the, again, not just crazy people, but crazy people included, and normal people, and whoever else you want to include in there, everybody that votes, the entire voting body politic.
Right.
That then creates that public policy, and elections have consequences.
What you're assuming is, what you're assuming there, I agree with all of that. All of that. We're mostly in agreement. Where I pick nits is that you're going, these people have the right to vote, and this person can vote, and they can believe this way, and they can vote. But what you're suggesting is that it's one man, one vote. One man, one vote. No man, and just because that's what the quotes were from back in the Wayback Machine, no man has more power than another man in voting in their democracy.
Right.
Which isn't true. We have legalized
we know that
corporate bribes. Money changes votes. So you can have one man that's worth 1 million votes or 10 million votes, and one man that's that's only worth one vote. Because dollars are free speech in America, my friend.
That's right.
So we no longer have one person, one vote.
You're totally right.
As I've mentioned in other conversations we have, corporations are conservative. They're a non-human entity that wants to conserve its power and make a profit. For whatever fucking reason you want to dream up, it wants to conserve its power, conserve its expenses, conserve its money, and make money. So it's a conservative investment from the ground up in a capitalistic society. And that's where we are. So you have a conservative influence. You have a massively $1 trillion larger conservative influence.
Right,
and then you can go either way. You can be a corporate conservative. You can be a right-wing racist conservative. So you could have the extremes, but no matter what the extreme is, it's not the left-wing conservative. It's not the progressive conservative, because those don't fucking exist. So we keep going right and right and right and right, and everybody's going, Trump is not a Nazi. Trump isn't a dictator. He was just kidding when he said he was going to be dictator for a day.
What's interesting about what you're saying here?
Farther and farther right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is that I actually see it the opposite. I agree with you that corporations are probably, by their very nature, conservative, and yes, it might be a touch of tin hatness, but it's probably just pretty easy to connect the dots and see how corporate money affects election outcomes, and elections have consequences. But
by the dollars and by the statistics, we can measure the person that wins the most, gets the most money, wins 95% of the time. Period.
But I don't see
the
result. Yeah, I don't see the result as being enormously right wing or going in a right direction. I see it as going in a left direction. How is that possible? I see it go. I see the country going to the left. I feel like the Overton window of conversation.
No, what part of the country? When you say you see the country going to the left, what country? Because it's certainly not the MAGA. Question. The MAGA is not. The MAGA's not going left. They've dropped off the flat Earth. MAGA's dropped off, but that's 1/3 of Republicans. That's 1/3 of the Republicans is the QAnon MAGA dropping off the side of the.
To be totally clear,
that's a large number of.
I don't bump into very many people. Who claim to be MAGA, and I have never physically talked to, or even online, with anybody that said, I'm QAnon. Never talked to anybody that admitted to that. And it's rare that I ever talk to anybody that would call themselves MAGA. They're probably not. That's what I'm saying.
I have.
The conversation, the Overton window of conversation is not there. It is somewhere over there. Or, see, that'd be right for you, wouldn't it?
For you, you also saw Oregon as left wing, and I don't. With all the pickup trucks and 4x4s and guns, it's not left wing. It has some left wing laws and some ideas, and they're not left wing ideas for Oregon. They are individualist ideas, libertarian ideas.
Perhaps.
There's no
I don't
left.
I would love to think of Oregon as being individualist. But you want to know who really was right wing? Utah. Now that state was right wing. But even while it's right wing, it's got crazy weird Mitt Romney right wing weirdness and Mormon right wing weirdness is weird.
Mitt Romney is an odd bag. You You wouldn't think that people that believe in a sky wizard from another planet, Kolob, I believe, and wore magic underwear, you wouldn't think that those people would be weird, would you?
No, I wouldn't think they were weird at all. And there's a long-term senator out of Utah too.
That's weird as fuck. That's weird as fuck.
That is weird. He
believes in a god from another planet and he wears magic underwear to sleep with his wife. And you go,
that's weird.
Oh, yeah, okay. Because you grew up in the Mormon religion.
I'm only acclimated to it. It's okay.
That's fucking weird.
Right. I'm not saying it's not weird.
Weird.
I'm not saying it's not weird.
So Mitt Romney doing weird things or having weird beliefs, I think for me...
And wanting to enact weird public policy.
He's probably... Yeah, well... You can be a libertarian and weird and a conservative and right-wing. You can be all those things.
You can, but that's not Mitt Romney. He's not libertarian. Mitt Romney?
No, he's more right. He's just right-wing.
Right.
He's a religious conservative.
He's
a corporate religious conservative.
I would actually color him as a rhino myself, but that's just me. That's my humble opinion.
Republican in name only. Well, he's not a lefty.
Well, it's funny that
he's not a Democrat, and I see Democrats as right wing also. They're corporate right.
Do you remember Obama?
See, I get upset and I have these arguments. I don't have any skin in this game. There's nobody actually calling for the laws that I would like. I think Biden should immediately, as all the other presidents should have done, immediately got into office, went, oh, there is no significant harm for marijuana legalization. Done. But they don't do it because they have to pull the giant chest of money up with it. And that's dragging them down. The influence of it, I don't have a position in this. My position is, gosh, please let the AI not murder us and see me as a special snowflake and want to give me all this, the gilded cage. That's my position. Otherwise, I'm generally along for the ride. I hope the economy does great. I hope the weapons manufacturers in Florida do great. So we got to bomb a lot of people because my clients are the people that work on these weapons systems. My job is directly tied to right-wing warmongers getting their way. And so you constantly come to me and ask questions. What should I be doing? I feel like I'm working for the evil man. Man, my bread and butter are weapons designers. Don't come to me for moral questions. What? Yeah, don't ask me for moral support. I'm just trying to get by. My whole fucking life is cringe. I don't like it. And as I get older, as I get sicker, as I get more tired and more stressed, I don't think I'm making better decisions. So, yeah. But I don't see there's no left wing.
Is there a possible way to positively
AOC,
spin this whole thing?
Maybe, but she has zero power.
Is there a way we can spin this to the positive and pinch this one off? Because I'm not going, dang, man, it's getting late. I've got a jam, and I'm not going, well, that's a sobering way to end it. Are you gassy?
The happy thing is I've been wrong. Yeah. No, I waited this time. That's one of my things where I was pausing. I was just about to eat a giant bowl of ice cream because I was high as fuck. So I wanted a bowl of ice cream, but I waited for you.
And now I'm harshing your buzz.
Conversation so much that I waited to gorge on dairy.
Thank you, man.
The happy. Well, we
I
haven't killed
appreciate your
ourselves.
sacrifice.
We are still. We are everything. The saying that I always have in my head, and I think fits it over and over again, because I've been wrong about a lot of stuff. My timing is wrong. What actually happens is wrong. I thought we would have life extension and legal drugs all over the world 20 years ago. I thought we were right on the cusp of everything, and I was 20 years too early. And I could just be 20 fucking years wrong. But my happy place is dual, is everything's really fucking cool. Everything's happening now. This is the most exciting time to be alive. This is we're getting the most advances, the most opportunities. Everything is happening right here, right now, and I wouldn't want to be any other time in history, and nobody's fucking happy about it. So my happy place is that awesome has become scary. Awesome has become scary. So
awesome has become mundane.
It's cool. I'm glad to be here. Yes, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in time.
It's like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yay! Yay now. Yeah, it's although if I keep going, I'm going to go dark again. So if you want to nip this in the bud, that has to be it. Everything is awesome. I don't want to live in any other time, and we should just go, that's it.
Isn't that a song from the Lego movie? Everything is awesome.
Yes, everything is awesome. Yes, that is in my head a lot too when I'm happy.
Let's leave that one on the.
I do it sarcastically when I'm depressed.
If there's a way to get that stuck in the minds of anybody who's watching this, that's going to be your earworm. Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. Yeah, we don't know the rest of the words because it doesn't matter. Everything is awesome.
All right, good. Well, let's put another one in the can.
Go do what you need to do.
Go ahead and cut this one up into fourths. I don't know. We'll talk to you in a bit, dude. Have a great night.
I will. Yeah, all right. You too.
Oi.
Bye.